Hi, my name is Ofentse, but I'm better known as Ofentse. Um, why am I doing an intro here? You guys know me. Yeah, so um, there's a lot I wanna talk about today, but it's late, so I doubt people will join, but that's fine. And I haven't been here in a very long time, but let's see. Oh, okay. But yeah, today I just wanted to talk about like something that we we all go through, right? And when I said this the other day to someone, I was like, I also go through moments whereby I don't feel like studying, right? And they were like, you're lying, I saw your YouTube, you're always studying. I'm like, I go live every 3 months here, and I say study with me for 2 hours, and then that's it, right? And now it creates the deception that I'm always in the mood to study. I always study the academic weapon. There are people who are like that, and I'm not one of them, right? And when I say this, people don't believe me, but I don't like school. I don't like studying. Sometimes I enjoy the studying because of the content that I'm doing. But the thought of me studying, unimaginable. No, that's the wrong word. And the thought of me studying, un, unprovocable. What's the word? The thought of me studying is undespicable. I don't know. I don't know the word, but there's a word that I was supposed to put there, but my English is gone. That's fine. It's essentially me just trying to spread it more, saying that lack of motivation to study is a normal thing, right? It happens to everyone, and it's me just saying that as much as you go to my live videos, it's just full of study with me, study with me, study with me. And I think there's this one video where I was actually studying for what was it? I think it was 2 hours. I fell asleep after an hour. No, well, not necessarily fell asleep. I didn't sleep, but after an hour, I was not doing anything, right? And I was just, I was just going for the sake of the live, right? Because I had said study with me for 2 hours, and then when I checked the live's time, it's like 1 hour 3 minutes. I'm like, yo, and I'm not feeling the studying thing, so I just kept on going with the thought or the imagination that I'm gonna get some motivation from this thing. It didn't work because not that I was tired, I was just not understanding the work, and I was watching videos, right? So the videos didn't make sense as well. I just ended up falling asleep, or so my eyes would just shut. I think it's when was that? There's a video, man. There's a live video somewhere. If you go through those live videos, you'll see there's one of them whereby I'm not there, right? I was just not feeling it. But yeah, that's not the main point. I I just wanted to talk about this fairly as it is as an entire topic, and the fact that there are people who go through it, and 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 when you're going through something like this, you're like, yo, I'm the only one, I'm suffering from this. That's why I titled this video, You're Not Alone in the Struggle, because I know it's a common thing, right? Even I experience it. I've asked a lot of people. I'm like, how often do you study, and do you enjoy studying this thing? They're like, I don't enjoy studying at all. I'm studying because I want to pass. I'm studying because I cannot choice. I'm studying because my exam is in a week's time, right? But no one actually enjoys it. So I'm not here to tell you how to get motivation to study. It's not there. If it's not there, it's not there, right? But the the perspective I want to take here is essentially me saying to you that it's essentially me saying to you that if you don't have it, right, if you don't have the motivation to study, right, it's not because you are the problem, right? It's me just coming here to say that if you are not feeling like studying, here are things that you can do to not get to a point whereby you don't feel like studying. I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm not here to tell you what to do when you don't feel like studying. I'm essentially just trying to explain how to not get to the point whereby you don't feel like studying, right? And essentially that's something that helps me. But then obviously sometimes, like I said, we're all human. I don't enjoy school. I don't like school. I'm studying. Why am I studying? I think there's this whole thing, Yahore. mm, know your motivation, think about the reason you want to succeed. I don't have that thing, right? Like, even when people talk about how I want to buy this nice car. I want to build my mama a house. I'm like, I am going to do those things, right? But it's not something that's motivating me to study. Because in my mind, I'm just like, somehow, I'm going to finish, right? So it's like, it's not something that motivates me, you know. And I've talked to some people that it's exactly the same. I'm like, what motivates you to study? And it's like, motivate, I just study, we just study. And essentially how I want to put it to you is that the reason you are at a point whereby you end up not feeling like studying is because of your habits, right? It's the things that you do on a daily basis, the things that you do before studying, the things that you do after studying, the things that you do after, I mean, be what's this word, during, whilst you're studying, right? And it's me just saying to you that you don't get motivation to study from the sky, right? You're not like, I don't feel like studying, and then maybe you think, "Ish, let me I want to build my house," and then automatically you start getting into the zone. It doesn't work like that, right? It's essentially me coming to you and explaining to you that look at your daily habits, look at your daily routine, look at the things that you do before you study. What happens right before you get into your books? What happens after you get into your books? So whilst you are studying, what is your environment looking like? What is distracting you? What made you not study an hour earlier? Such questions are very important, and we are not directly answering the question as to how to get motivation to study, but then we are trying to answer the question, Yahore, how to not get to the point whereby you even need motivation to study, right? And it's such a beautiful thing, man. It's such a beautiful thing. And I used to look at guy when you have certain habits in place, right? Obviously this is something that is unique to everyone, right? You have your own habits. That's why I'm posing more questions than I am giving tips. I'm not gonna say a lot about what you should do, but these questions that I'm asking you, answer them in your mind, right? Think about them. If you're gonna forget, this is probably gonna be a long live video. If you're gonna forget some of the videos, write them I mean, questions, man. If you're gonna forget some of the questions, write them down, right? And at the end of this video, answer every one of these questions. The questions that I asked you: what do you do before you study? What made you not study an hour earlier? What were you doing, right? Because it leads to the point of procrastination, but that's not exactly, that's not the issue, right? We can't keep on blaming procrastination. You were doing something before. You were supposed to study at 5, you started at 7. What were you doing in that 2 hours? Focus on that particular thing that you were doing and stop saying, I'm a master procrastinator. You were on your phone for 2 hours. You were scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours. That's the truth. Not you were procrastinating for 2 hours. You were doing something instead of doing what you're supposed to do, right? So this is me trying to help you understand what the actual issue is, right? The problem is not the fact that you are different from those people who just wake up and they just start studying. There are those people I've accepted, and I'm not one of them, right? I remember this other time I was at the library. I had a lot of motivation. It was a 1 day thing. I went there, and it was also because I slept in the afternoon, I think. Or so I didn't have sleep. Went to the library. It was around 8 p.m. I get to the library. There's this one guy sitting at a corner. Oh, wabala diman. Oh, he's sitting down. Like I'm more now. Obviously, when I first see him, it's a lot of people in the library. I didn't pay attention. I see that guy. He's at that corner. I go and sit. So it's like he's at that corner. I'm on the other side of the library, but I can still see him, right? I can still see him there. Waperuntung we shine so green. Okay. And I see everyone else. A few hours go by, right? It's me there, 8 o'clock. I study for 25 minutes. I take a break. I go to the bathroom. I come back, so on and so forth for like 2 hours, right? And during me doing this up and down, that guy has been there. Remember, I found him there, right? That guy has been there, sitting there for that entire 2 hours. And you can see he's not on his phone, he's actually studying. Studied for that 2 hours from 8 to 10. I continued, I did my other 2 hours, same thing, Pomodoro, 25 minutes, 5 minute break, 25, 5, 25, 5. That was a 2 hour, another 2 hours. That's 4 hours now. That guy has not stood up. He's been studying the entire time he was here. 4 hours here, okay. Keeping in mind the fact that I found him there, right? I found him there, which means he started way before I got there, right? So it's like he was studying for the entire 4 hours from 8 o'clock until 12. Got 12 for now. After 4 hours, I'm drained. I'm like, let me take maybe a 1 hour break. I chill. I'm there. When was this? It was last year, right? I'm there. I'm just scrolling through my phone. I answer WhatsApp messages because I make sure when I want to actually get into the study zone, I put my phone. I either put it on do not disturb or I turn it off completely. I make sure I don't touch that thing. I make sure I don't touch this thing. But yeah, after 4 hour session, right, of me taking breaks, I'm there. I'm just chilling on my phone. That guy is still going. Now we're going into 5 hours. That guy has not yet stood up. Sharpo around 1 a.m. Naga buena. That guy has not yet stood up. And I'm not lying. This is a very, very true story. The truest story I've ever truthed. Very, very true. Right? So he's still there and it's 1 a.m. He's doing his thing. I do 2 more hours from like 1 until, it wasn't even 2, it was 1 hour and 30 minutes from 1 a.m. until like 2:30-ish. Wow. And then I'm tired. I'm about to leave the library, but I see that guy. When I'm about to leave, that's when he stands up. He goes to the bathroom. He comes back. He continues. That wasn't even a break. That was less than 2 minutes of you standing up, going to the bathroom, and coming back and continuing with what you're doing. And then he goes on. He goes on. I'm like, I man, if this guy can do it, I can do it. I'm there. I'm forcing myself. I'm very sleepy. I'm not understanding a thing. I'm just writing down. When you are looking at your notes and then you rewrite them. I was just doing that. That guy kept on going. I think it hit like 4 a.m. While I was there not understanding anything. I was just going because he was there. I'm like, aye man, this guy can do it. I can do it. No Red Bull, no energy drink, no coffee. That guy was just there moving. I left around 4 a.m. at the library. Diman and Asenze Aleda. Keeping in mind the fact that Kivikle waga 8 p.m., right? And my effective studying was probably like 6 hours. The rest of that, the other 4 hours, I don't know what I was doing, right? I was just chilling. But that guy kept on going, and this is essentially me trying to make you realize that there are people who are powerful out there. There are people who are born for studying. And if you're not one of them, that's perfectly fine, right? But then you can get to a point whereby not you are like them, but you can get to a point whereby you limit the amount of lack of motivation that you always have, right? So it's like me coming to you and saying that reevaluate your life, reevaluate yourself, reevaluate your habits, reevaluate the things that you do on a daily basis, and you will realize how much you spending 3 hours on TikTok before you study actually impacts your entire study block, right? And obviously you won't realize this initially, but as time goes on, you will see how you study better. If maybe you just woke up from a 30-minute nap, you were reading a book, you were reading a fictional book, you were drawing something, you were writing, I don't know, something non-academic, right? So you were doing something else that is not negatively stimulating to your brain and snatching all of that dopamine, right? And this is you getting into a zone whereby you're doing something that is deemed as boring, right? Whatever you are going to be doing, it's something boring, right? Like you're reading. Who reads for fun, right? So those people, when they read for fun, it's like it go to a point whereby they start enjoying that thing the same way you are scrolling on your phone for 3 hours. You enjoy that, right? But it's only because you haven't been exposed to other things for as long as as long as you are is that the right English? You haven't been exposed to other habits for as long as sounds wrong. You haven't been exposed to other habits. I'm gonna get this right. You haven't been exposed to other habits with this same amount of time. You haven't exposed to other habits as equally as it's actually refusing. I have the English, just that I can't put the words together, right? But I'm essentially just saying that you have your TikTok, you have your reading a book, right? So I'm saying you have been spending too much time on this that it has become a habit. This is something that you deem as, obo. Same example, I can make another example with fast food. How jadi dang doings every day, wabona salad. It's like, but then there's someone who is the exact opposite. They eat their healthy whatnot. They how wanna di dang doings. So it's like me trying to essentially explain to you that what you are going through is something that can be changed, but it requires a lot of re-evaluation from yourself, right? I'm not gonna give you tips. I'm not gonna say go and write down a vision board. You know all those things, right? And you probably have them. Write down your goals, write down Varying. Write down what motivates you, all those different things, right? You know them, and what I am essentially trying to do is make you realize that there is the main thing that is affecting you. This English is coming and leaving. But yeah, I'm still here. I'm essentially saying the main thing, the main reason why you don't have the motivation to study is because of your daily habits, right? The things that you do before, the things that you do after, the things that you do during, the whole thing that you deem as procrastination, your distractions, right? And it's me getting to this is a live video. TME, this is a live video. I don't know if you're asking if I am live now or what, but yeah, this is a live video. I'm gonna record the actual videos tomorrow because I haven't been uploading in a very long time. So yeah, tomorrow that's when I'm gonna start uploading some actual videos. But for now, if you go to the live section of my videos, you will actually realize that I've been consistent on the live side. Just that usually it doesn't show on your feed that often. But then yeah, when you go to the live section, you'll realize that, hey, I've been posting, I've been going live. But yeah, that's not the. Let me get back to the main point. I'm essentially saying you will only realize that you don't actually suffer from lack of motivation to study, but then if you put in place certain habits, certain hobbies, you are never going to get to the point whereby you actually need to have motivation to study, right? So you are already your mind is already is already busy, right? Is already in the working mode when you have certain habits in place, such that when you sit down to study, it's automatically there. But then it goes back to the point where what I was saying about how, what were you doing before you actually started the study session. If you were on uh, um if you were on TikTok for like 3 hours before you actually started studying, and now you want to go straight into your books, it's not gonna work, right? Maybe it might work, but for how long? Remember, when you're scrolling through your TikTok videos, your brain slowly and slowly goes into a relaxed state. It relaxes. You don't think when you're on TikTok. Okay, not like that, but like you don't have anything to think about, right? Like you're just watching a video, it's 1 minute long. You move on, right? So it's like very very short span stimulation, dopamine stealing thing, right? It just happens quick, you move on, quick, you move on, and your brain is relaxed, right? It doesn't think about much in this state, right? So now when you want to go from being on that TikTok for 2 hours, for example, or on your Instagram reels for 2 hours, and then automatically you want to be like, oh, now right now I'm gonna log in, it's not gonna be as effective, right? It's not gonna be as effective. You might log in, but for how long is that gonna be? And for how long are you gonna keep that habit of saying, I was supposed to study at I was supposed to start studying at 4 p.m. Now I'm only studying at 9. I struggle with procrastination. It's not procrastination. You were doing something during that time whereby you were supposed to be studying, and you were on Instagram Reels. That's the truth, right? You were not procrastinating. You were on Instagram Reels. So the problem is not that you are a master procrastinator or you like postponing things. You have something that is getting in the way between your working side of the brain, or the, what is it called, there's a word for it, I forgot the word for the side of your brain that is actually, always thinking about studying, the motivated side of your brain. So you have your, I don't know the words, but I'm gonna call them the left and the right side, right? So the left side of your brain is this side that relies on just, I don't want to call them bad habits, but dopamine retention stealing habits. I don't know how to put it, right? But then these habits that don't benefit you, right? That's what I'm trying to say, right? You're scrolling on Instagram reels, you're sleeping for 12 hours, you're listening to music for 3 hours. Music heals, yes, sharp, mara isn't 3 hours. I'll heal it 3 hours. You listen 30 minutes, wa tima, wa boela, wa bala. Now when you are here, they're healing for 3 hours. Every day we're not going to heal for 3 hours. It's not gonna work in the long run, right? But essentially what I'm trying to say is that there is this side of your brain which gets satisfied by postponing things that you're actually supposed to be doing. Oh, another example here is junk food, right? That's also another very good example on the bad habits, right? On this side of your brain, the right side, you have your exercising, you have your eating healthy, you have your studying, you have your reading your book, you have what else do you have? Yeah, exercising, I said that. You have meditating. Ooh, you have your meditation, you have your journaling, you have all these different things, right? You have all these healthy habits on this side, things that are actually gonna benefit you in the long run. And then you have this side of your brain that actually just wants to scroll on TikTok the entire day, that wants to buy dunked wings the entire week, that wants to just sleep the entire day whenever you're feeling stressed. This is what is more powerful at the moment, right? And essentially, me not talking about lack of motivation right now is because there's no such thing, right? This is the main matter. This is what I'm trying to make you realize, that you have these two sides, right? So you have the left side, and this is currently winning, right? The side of your brain that just wants all that satisfaction, but then you know very well deep inside that this doesn't actually benefit me in anyhow. It just makes me feel better. For example, Instagram reels just entertains me, but now when I'm overdoing it, it's like I know I'm not getting anything from this, but I'm just gonna keep doing it because I don't want to study, I don't want to exercise, I don't want to eat your healthy food, I don't want to start meditating, or I don't want to do those things, right? I would rather stick to this. So it's essentially me trying to explain to you that the more you introduce these things into your life, and I'm not gonna list all of them, there's a lot more things on this list, right? The good habits, the habits that actually are going to benefit you. There are a lot. Just Google them, do something, right? And you will, oh, it's essentially me just trying to help you introduce these more into your life, right? Introducing these more into your life and essentially incorporating them, replacing, that's the word I was looking for, replacing these habits with these ones. Because remember, if you're someone who's struggling with what, you scroll on Instagram reels for too long, for example, right? You just keep on going, just keep on going. And when I tell you to delete Instagram reels, that's gonna be devastating, right? Because now you're gonna be at a point where you're like, yo, what am I gonna do from here now? What must happen? It's gonna be difficult. You're not even gonna be able to focus on studying because your mind is gonna be there, right? And the better option here is to replace instead of diminishing completely. We're not saying delete Instagram, but then we're saying with this 3 hours that you spend on Instagram right now, take 2 hours, start exercising, start journaling, start what else? Start reading a book. You don't need to have physical books. There are books online, there are books on YouTube, there's audio books. You go to your YouTube, you search for Atomic Habits, James Clear, you listen to the audiobook. That's different from you scrolling on Instagram the entire day. Very, very different, right? So the more you have such habits in place, that's when now we go back to the first point I said on how the main reason your brain struggles to go right into the studying automatically is simply because of the things that you were doing before, the things that you usually do after you study. And then is that, oh, there is still electricity. Evan. Okay, let me actually read the comments in the meantime. I was asking if you're live now. YouTube lives, I had to differentiate between actual videos. Yeah, I get your point, man. I get your point. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep going now. Why did this thing turn off? It's my, oh, okay. But yeah, that's fine. If I can just keep on going, I was essentially, actually, let me close this point and get into journaling because it's a very, very good point that I want to talk about, and it's something that is going to help you so much in the long run, right? When I'm here talking about how you don't have motivation to study. I'm not here to tell you how to get motivation to study, but I'm essentially trying to help you not get to the point whereby you end up not having motivation to study, right? So those are two different things, right? And it's like sometimes it's very hard to get it right. It's very hard to get motivation to study, especially when you're not in the zone. You're not in the zone, and that's not something you can prevent, right? It is gonna happen. It does happen. It happens to me all the time. I do have those moments whereby I'm just like studying. I know that's not gonna happen, right? So it's me just essentially making you realize that answer these questions right now. I'm gonna say them one more time, write them down, answer them yourself, right? Reevaluate your life. What are things that, the first one, what are the things that you usually do before you study? Let me actually just plug this in real quickly. What do you usually do before you study, right? What are some of the habits that you have in place? And this is not something that you have to think about deeply. Think about yesterday, right? What did you what did you do yesterday, right? What did you do yesterday before you actually tried studying? What was something that you did, and after you did it, you went right into studying? What is that one habit? Identify that habit. After you were done with your studying, what is one thing that you went straight into? Maybe it was sleeping, maybe it was going straight into your WhatsApp, checking on your people, maybe it was going outside to breathe, maybe it was you taking out a book and writing down your feelings. How was the study session? Whatever you do, write it down. What do you do before you study? What do you do after you study? What the very very yo sorry for using the middle finger, the most important one. What what made you not study 1 hour before? What made you study not study? What made you not study? Guys, I don't know, when my lives get past 30 minutes now, my English starts, it doesn't go away, but then the words, they just start going all over the place, and now I have to combine words properly and start try and speak English, and it doesn't always work, right? But yeah, the third question is, what made you not study an hour ago, right? So right now, it doesn't necessarily have to say you had planned to study an hour ago, but let's say you were supposed to. What time is it now? This thing is not accurate. The time is currently nine what? 9:30. Hi man, 9:35. Yeah, the time is currently 9:35. If I'm not lying, right? What made you not study at 8 p.m.? Is it because it's a Friday? And so it's these small things that make you question yourself, and you get to realize your habits, right? You get to learn more about yourself, and as a person, or as people, we're never really taught, or we never get a chance to reevaluate ourselves, to sit back and say, who am I? What am I doing? Right? What are my habits? What do I do on a daily basis? What's the first thing I do when I wake up? No one asks you these questions, right? But I want you to just go back, look at yourself, think about them, and hence I'm not giving you the answers. I'm not any audible anymore. Is it like completely not audible, or this? Can you hear me now? Uh, I'm not sure. Just let me know if you can hear me now. Yeah, cause then I'm not sure. Just a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you can hear me properly. Uh, yeah, cause if not, I have no idea what's the problem. Just type in quickly if everything is okay now. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Glitching. That's probably a YouTube thing. I don't know, man. Press here. Okay, let me pause the live and then come back and see. Um, bara. YouTube, what are you doing? Mm, is it make sure now? Is it make sure? Hey, bruh, I have no idea. I have no idea what happened. I don't know whether it was my English that turned it off, but I'm not sure. Just let me know one more time. If it's not working, then I'm gonna just restart the live quickly. It's something I can do very quickly. Just let me know one more time if it's still the same, because I honestly don't know. YouTube doesn't want me here. It's fine. Uh, T, just let me know. Just let me know, man. Or anyone who is here. Or let me check what's going on my laptop so that I can understand how to fix this issue. Um, is it make sure now? I'm just gonna try and get into my YouTube here and see what exactly is going on, because I don't understand. Just a thumbs up if you can hear me or see me, because I can see myself. Or okay, yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine now. Can everyone hear me? Because yeah, I'm about to start cooking now. I'm about to start talking on a very important point. So if you can hear me, just send a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you can hear me, if you can see me, just send a quick thumbs something. I don't know, thumbs what. Yeah, thumbs, finger, toe, send anything if I'm audible. No, you're still glitching. Is it not you? Is it not from your side? Because mine is fine. I don't know. There are 4 people in the live. Can anyone let me know if they can hear me or not? Maybe it's from your side, T. Mhlambe, perhaps. It happens. Can everyone else yo, health? Can everyone else hear me and see me? Yeah, I wanna sharp. So I think it's you, T. Just try and leave YouTube and come back. I thought I was the problem. And no, you are the problem. I think if one more person can just confirm if they can hear me with a thumbs up. If you can hear me and you can see me, that would be lovely. Just a quick comment. Nothing hectic. I can type a essay. Just very, very quick. Cause Nolo said I'm good. I'm just waiting for one more confirmation before I continue. Anyone? I wanna be no. Yeah, T, just try and leave and then come back and then we'll see. But yeah, I'm just gonna continue in the meantime, because whoever is here doesn't wanna tell me if I'm audible or not. But it's fine. I was gonna jump right into journaling. All right, I was gonna jump right into one of the most important things, which I've slept on for a very long time, and obviously I'm not gonna let you guys sleep on as well, right? I've only started actually writing down my actual thoughts, like when was this, like a few days ago. Oh yeah, so you see that T is it's from your side. So I'm talking about journaling now, ne? And this is not a dear diary thing. You have to write what happened in your day or whatever, right? It's me saying to you, get a notebook. It doesn't have to be this notebook, your normal book, yes, kolo. Get that thing. Every we're gonna start it small, right? We're gonna start it very small. I don't wanna overload you with a lot, but this is something very important, and I want you to take very important note of. Every single day when you wake up, obviously it's not the first thing that's gonna be on your mind, but over time it is gonna be a habit. Every single day when you wake up, make sure this and a pen is by your side. Immediately write down how you're feeling that morning and something motivational to yourself. Say something to yourself, right? And this is gonna be useless for the first 2 days, right? And it's essentially building up to something that's gonna benefit you so much. And if I'm to expand on it a bit more, when you write down your thoughts and feelings, you're talking to, it's like someone talking to you, right? I can't explain it exactly how it is because I want you to go and try it and then feel what I'm talking about, right? It's like someone talking to you about the things that you feel, because as much as you are writing them down, it's not gonna feel like you are writing them down to someone else. But every single thing that you write down, you're gonna think deeper about every single thing, right? Every single word that you put down on paper, that you jot down, is gonna make you expand, right? Expand the horizons in your thinking and actually say, well, how am I actually feeling? What am I thinking? And this is something very, very important and plays a very, very big role in motivation, right? And I'm just gonna read you guys a piece from a few days ago, right? I'm just gonna read you guys something. There's something called gratitude journaling, right? So that's when you just write down what you're grateful for and stuff, right? You just write down, today I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for having a phone, I'm grateful for having people who pay for my school fees, I'm grateful for having shoes. These thoughts are just gonna keep coming, right? And I want to talk on the point on how when you are writing down your thoughts, it's gonna expand your thinking so much such that you automatically start. Let me stop explaining and read you guys this, right? So I was just writing down what I'm grateful for, right? The first item I wrote, I was like, I'm grateful for having access to all of these accessories, right? So that was my phone, my laptop, and these, right? So they were on one spot at the same time. And when I was writing, I saw my phone, I saw my laptop, I saw this. I'm like, this is a killer combo, right? This is a privilege somehow. So I looked at these things, I'm like, I'm grateful for these things because they said that every single time when you're grateful for something, look around you, look at yourself. I looked at these things, I'm grateful for my phone, I'm grateful for these, I'm grateful for my laptop, right? Sharp. That was the first point. I moved on. And then when I got to the second point, I was supposed to write the second thing that I'm grateful for, right? And I was like, I'm grateful for life and getting to UCT. That's the first part. Now this is where it gets tricky. I was like, I'm grateful for life and getting to UCT. Sharp. And that was what I thought initially, right? And then from there, you automatically start expand on this thought, right? And this is when I was actually going through the reason I made this video, right? Lack of motivation and me telling you that it's a normal thing. So I was like, I'm grateful for life and getting to UCT because right now, this is actually cringe, but listen, right now I'm supposed to be studying because I want at least a 90% in blah blah blah, but I am not studying. I need to log in and get a very good mark on this upcoming test. Remember how badly you want that 90% at least. You have not gotten even a single 80% ever since this year started, right? This was just my feelings, right? These were just my feelings. And I'm sharing this because I want to explain to you essentially how this came out as it is, right? As this huge paragraph. when you write down your thoughts, the things that you write down first are the things that are at the top, are the cream of your feelings, right? They are the cream. But when you're writing, you're basically removing this cream bit by bit. And then now you realize that, oh, this is how I'm actually feeling. And then you start writing about these more and more and more and more. This is something, I don't want to say it's something that's going to motivate you, but it's essentially something that's gonna make you realize so much about yourself and make you realize the bad habits that you have, make you realize how much time you spend. When you're there, you're writing, I spent 3 hours on Instagram. It's not gonna be just that, right? Your mind is gonna go deeper. Why did I spend 3 hours on Instagram Reels? Why did I spend 3 hours scrolling instead of studying? Why do I want to stop this, right? What can I do to stop this? And these are questions that are gonna automatically come to you the moment you start writing down your thoughts. And I want to emphasize this so much, right? Get a book, get a pen, start tonight, right? Okay, forget about the time. Start tonight, get a book, get a pen before you go to sleep. Like I said, this is not a dear diary type of thing, right? I want you to write about how you're feeling at the current moment. Even if you have nothing to say, if you say, I'm feeling okay, and you have nothing else to say, leave it there. That's fine, right? You can write I'm feeling okay. That's day one. Day two, you ask yourself again, how am I feeling in the morning, right? And the moment you ask yourself, how am I feeling right now, you're gonna see how yesterday you will just like, I'm okay, and that was it. That's not gonna be the end. You're gonna want to expand, and the more you do this, the more your feelings and your thoughts start unpacking, and the more you realize so much about yourself. This is the whole concept of self introspection that I said we never really get to. No one actually gets to you and asks you, what is one thing that you think you struggle with the most, right? No one asks you these questions, right? So the more you write down these thoughts, like I said, it feels more like someone is talking to you than you are talking to the book. So I don't want to speak too much about this, but I'm actually gonna make a separate video actually talking about the power of journaling, and I want you watching this video, just start writing down your thoughts, write down your feelings. This is a very good way for you to actually realize that your mind is more powerful than you are deeming it right now. There are those moments whereby you don't feel like studying. This Through this, that's how you're gonna uncover the reasons why you don't feel like studying. And like I said, in my videos, you will hear most of the time I don't give tips, I ask you questions, and I want you to take these questions, go back with them, answer those questions. And these are questions that are gonna open your horizons, your Eish, squash esataba. But yeah, these are questions that are essentially gonna help you in the long run, and you being able to identify more about yourself, because we are all unique. I don't wanna come here and start giving tips, because what works for me is not, and I'm not saying might not, is not gonna work for you, right? Because we are different. And it's essentially me coming here and essentially making you realize that, but essentially also helping you. I've been saying essentially. What does essentially mean? Essentially, I don't know. But yeah, this is me coming here and essentially, I just said it again. This is me coming here and telling you, making you realize about how powerful, making you realize how powerful your mind is and how much you can do with it. Not how much I can lead you or how much tips I can give you that you can use, right? And you have the creative freedom, you have the power to actually realize the things that you struggle with. You just have to ask yourself the question and sit down, put your phone away after this live video, put it very far, get a book, get a pen, get a paper, get a paper. If you don't have a notebook, an A5 notebook, get a piece of paper. write down these questions I was asking you right now. Start writing them down. Put your phone away, and you will realize how you don't automatically know the answer to these questions. Like right now, if I ask you, what do you struggle with the most? It's a very broad question. It's not something you can answer automatically. But even if you have the one word answer, even you have the one word answer, excuse me, if you have the one word answer automatically, the why is what is gonna make you think. If I say, what do you struggle with the most? And then you say, I struggle with spending too much time on Instagram reels. And I'm like, why? Why do you choose to do that instead of studying? It sounds like a very easy question, but for an individual, when you're actually writing down your feelings, this is a very deep question that essentially makes you think a lot about yourself and reevaluate everything around your habits, right? Your daily routine, the things that you do before you study, the things that you do after studying, the things that you were doing 2 hours ago when you were actually supposed to study, right? So it's a very broad topic, but then you will see that it all that just comes down to the power of journaling. So as a belief, if there's anything that I'm just gonna answer the questions now, but if there's anything you're gonna take from this live video, it's me saying, write down how you're feeling tonight. Write down, not tell someone, not type to chat GPT. You can still tell people, but write down what you're feeling, because what you're gonna notice is that if I ask you how you're feeling and then I say, write down what you're feeling, you're gonna realize that you express yourself more on paper than verbally. Because now, when you're saying to me how you're feeling, you're trying to sugarcoat certain things, right? And that's not how you're feeling. But the more you write down your feelings, the more you actually bear in mind that no one is gonna read this thing. These are your feelings, so you can fully express yourself, right? Write every single thing, how you were feeling about the fact that you failed that exam. What do you think was the reason? What do you want to change? What are some of the things that you see other people achieve but you also want to achieve? All those comparisons that you can't say out loud, write them down, right? And it's not something that is obviously going to promote you saying, oh, I wish I could be like that person. But the more you write down your feelings, the more you actually think of ideas, the more your mind imagines more about how you could become a better person. I'm just going to cut it there for now and just start reading these questions. Were you always an excellent achiever in math, or it started in a certain grade in high school? Was I always an excellent achiever in math? It started in grade 10. A simple answer. The straight answer, it started in grade 10. So the answer is no, right? I wasn't always good at maths, but it got to a point. And if you were to ask me to narrate how I actually started getting better at the subject and I started enjoying it, at some point I enjoyed my high school maths, right? If you ask me how it got to that point, I don't know, right? But I know that it was some form of a mindset shift, because I think maybe the only difference with me, it was just that I changed schools, right? So in grade 10, I went to a different school, I went to a different environment, got exposed to different people, right? So that was a contributing factor, but mindset played a huge role in that, right? Not that if you have to change schools to get better, that's not a thing, right? So it's a lot of mindset shifting playing a part in it was a lot of mindset shifting playing a part in me becoming better at that thing, and overall just getting better, getting those distinctions. I started getting distinctions in grade 10. I should actually start do a video about that. That's a very good video, and show me you guys my grade 9 report and how I got a 10% in maths. But yeah, To just answer your question, no, I only started getting better in grade 10, and grade 11 was my peak. And then grade 12, I dropped a bit because, yeah, I was just tired. I was mentally tired. Yeah, well. And then, yeah, that's pretty much about it. Uh, I saw another question. You asked two questions. How's computer science at UCT? I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Uh, it's fine, man. It's just like any other course. Honestly, it's just like any other difficult course. It's your engineering, it's your medicine, it's your actuarial science. It is challenging, but it's a normal part of the journey, right? And I was speaking to someone the other day, right? And they were like, I want to I want to study either I want to do medicine, right? That was their first option. I want to do medicine, but it looks like it's too difficult, right? And you know me with asking back questions, and I was like, what is not difficult, right? And now that was more of a thought process thing. And they're like, I don't know, something in humanities, engineering. I'm like, these things are all different. They're all difficult in their own unique way. Every single thing is difficult. Obviously, yeah, you have those easy things. Ooh, bachelor of swimming in talking. So not if they exist, right? They are there, but if it's something that you aspire to do, it's always going to be difficult, right? So do not ever restrict yourself from doing something because you think it's difficult. If it's difficult, it's meant to be. Right now, you're failing because it's a normal thing, and you just have to. Okay, I know. Sorry, that was a bad way to put it, but it's essentially me just saying that if it's something that scares you, or it's something that you are failing at, it's meant for you, right? For the most part, academically, I'm not saying do things and then if you fail you continue, but academically, if you're doing it right now, if you are in your grade 12 and you don't understand Euclidean, it's grade 12 Euclidean for a reason, and they wouldn't give you something that is beyond you, right? So yes, you're failing it now, but it's me just saying that it is possible for you to somehow understand it, right? We are unique. We all have different ways of thinking. We all have our different working learning, but learning styles or learning methods. We all have those different things, but at the end of the day, you you just have to do it, right? Our not choice. You do not avoid something because it scares you when you haven't even tried it. It's similar to a conversation I used to preach a lot, like while I was writing my book, right? I was like, you my thought is running away. You can't. Yeah, oh yeah, it was on studying, right? Methods of studying. And I was like, try as much study methods as possible. And then someone was like, things like flashcards, things like using colors won't work for me. I'm like, have you tried them? They're like, no, but it's not my thing. And I'm like, that could probably be your best thing ever. When it comes to study methods, especially, try everything, especially if you see that right now you're getting 60s and you've been getting 60s since grade 10 using the exact same study method. Change it. There is something wrong. There's not something wrong with you. There's something wrong with the way you're learning. There's something wrong with the way you are consuming your information. So there should be an alternative, right? There you should be doing something else. Don't stop studying the way you're studying if you see that you've been getting 60s, and no matter how much you try. So there's not gonna be a miracle during your final exams, you using the exact same methods and then you get a 90. That is your limit with that particular study method, so change it. The same thing goes with studying times. Those people who are like, no, I study better during the night. I feel like the during the day is not good for me. And they haven't even tried it, but they're just forcing themselves to study at night. I'm like, experiment. Try a week studying at night. Try a week studying during the day. Try a week studying your life sciences using flashcards, and there's this method called blurting. Try another week studying using, I don't know, the cramming that you do. And at the end of that, each week, write down a test. I mean, write a test, right? So use your past papers, write a test, and test yourself. And obviously, this will bring a very huge question as to how exactly do I go about this. And it's simple, right? Take a week. Right now, you see how you don't have any tests. June exams are coming. Right now, you're free. You don't have any tests upcoming. Even if they are probably informal. But you should use this time to take a June exam paper. If you're, okay, not June, March, man. Take that March exam paper. Take 2 papers. Do the first one. See how much you get. Record that mark. Notice the things that you got wrong. Go back to your notes, study that thing, especially with life sciences. I have a separate video on how to study life sciences. Those tips are amazing, right? You should use those. Try another question paper again, record your mark, see the difference, right? So there's a lot of experimentation that you should be going through right now and trying out the different study methods. So you shouldn't limit yourself at all whatsoever. um how did I what hey I guess how did I cope with metric pressure what pressure kadlala uh metric pressure ejo. um I think maybe the only 2 points of high pressure are when you are starting the beginning of the year and when it's about to end, right? Those are the pressures that you are going to feel. If you're already feeling pressure and it's March right now, the pressure should be coming down. Oh no, it's applications, you're applying for universities. Okay, makes sense a bit, right? But pressure should is going to be very high during your final exams and at the beginning and during this time as well, because you're applying, you're getting rejected, you're not sure of your outcome, you're not sure whether you're gonna make it to university. There's a lot, right? But i i I have a lot to say on this, but obviously I don't have time to say a lot, right? But pressure, you only feel pressure. Think about it this way, right? You only feel the pressure when something is coming, right? So for example, you only feel the pressure during your June exams. You're like, yo, these June exams are gonna be on my report. You're gonna feel pressure during finals. You're like, yo, this is my metrics statement certificate, what. You're gonna feel very, very high pressure, right? And you will realize that obviously this pressure comes during high stake times, right? When times are tough, when times are rising. And it's essentially me saying that during such times, right now you're not feeling pressure. Well, I don't think you're feeling any pressure. You are relaxed. Times are coming of pressure. It's still March. It's still very, very early. But the times are coming whereby you're gonna feel the pressure. And my point on this is that work on yourself as much as you can during this time, right? During your relaxed times, during your free time, during those times whereby if you look at the next 2 weeks, you don't have any tests upcoming, you should be working on yourself. And this doesn't necessarily mean studying. This also goes to what I was just talking about now, trying out different study methods, trying out different routines, study routines, daily routines, right? This is really talking about the habits, right? Your daily habits. What can you replace you spending 3 hours on TikTok with, right? All those different things, journaling, writing down your thoughts, right? And you will see that I'm answering this question indirectly, and that is because the pressure is always gonna be there, but you can you can do things to not get to a point whereby you don't have to cope with pressure. Because remember, when you're coping with something, you already have it, right? If I say I'm trying to cope with this nyaope rehab, or I'm coping, I'm coping because what happened. You're coping because that thing already happened. But then with metric pressure, you working on yourself now, we're basically saying work on yourself before the actual pressure comes, right? So that when that pressure that is affecting everyone comes, it doesn't hit you, or even if it hits you, you know how to alleviate it, you know how to deal with that pressure. With me during my final exams, none of my exams was I scared or like were nervous. Not because um not because I what you call this thing, not because I was ready or not because I was this smart guy, but because I took time to understand myself. I took time to actually identify my knowledge gaps. This is something very, very important also. I took time to actually realize the things that I'm struggling with. In Euclidean geometry, I know that what's this thing theorem again? Yeah, the triangle. Um, I forgot. There's this new theorem that is introduced in grade 12. Yeah, the triangle, and then there's like a line in between, and it's very, very complicated, right? It's me identifying that I'm struggling with this thing, right? This is something that I'm struggling with. It's me identifying that I'm struggling with that question on for what values of x, where is what f of x greater than g of x. I know that with every single test that is upcoming, I'm gonna get that question wrong. It's something that I already know, right? It's me identifying and actually accepting this and working on actually trying to fix this, right? In simple terms, proportionality, that's the word. Perfect. Proportionality theorem, that one, right? That thing used to kick me, and it scared me so much when it was introduced because I didn't hear a thing, right? I didn't hear a thing. I don't know, until they even finished the topic. We did pass papers, didn't understand anything at all, right? But then it got to a point whereby I was like, I need to log in, right? This is in grade 12 for a reason. They would never give you something that is above you. I always say that, or I used to say that, every single question that is in the exam, or every single question in the question paper has an answer, right? And don't overthink it. All you need to do is write down the correct answer. That's the simple thing. That's the simple. They ask you a question 1.1.1 in maths paper 1, solving the quadratic equation. You don't know you don't know that thing because it was explained to you a million times. You know it very, very well because it's the same, right? It's the same procedure. Quadratic equation, get your two answers, you're done, you move on. And you know it so well simply because you've been repeating it, right? And not because you understand it that much. If I ask you where the quadratic equation is derived from, are you gonna tell me? I remember this one time my teacher once did it in class when he was introducing, what was it? Was it functions? No, no, no. He was oh no, it was 1.3. So there's the 1.3 question in algebra, right? That's like rare, right? So it was basically that type of question. And they were explaining where the quadratic equation comes from, right? And obviously, this is something we never even thought about, and we didn't care because it didn't affect us. All we need to do is get the right answer in the exam. Our answer has to match the one in the memo. That's it, right? And that was essentially the entire idea. Yeah, if I write a test today, I get my results back. I get the memo. I see the memo. I see where I went wrong. If I was asked to write the test again tomorrow, was I gonna get 100%? No. Wabo. And this is a very big concern, because why are you not getting 100%? If you saw the memo, you saw where you went wrong, all you need to do is understand the process that they put into that particular question, right? So it's a bit of a complicated thing, but it's something very, very easy to digest in such a way that these questions shouldn't overwhelm you. They are solvable, right? I think that's the mindset you have to keep right now. These are questions that are solvable. They wouldn't give you something that is beyond you. With your physics, they wouldn't give you something that doesn't have an answer. It has an answer. You just need to prepare how to get that answer beforehand. But like I said, with metric, I could talk the entire day about that thing. But it's me essentially just saying, know yourself very well, especially in metric when it comes to studying. If you want to actually get a good mark, drop those study methods that have been making you get 60s. They are not gonna miraculously make you get a 90%. It's not gonna change, right? So it's the way you're studying. And there are so many study methods here on YouTube. After this, okay, not after this video. After this video, you're going to journal. You're going to write down your feelings. So maybe tomorrow, when you come again on YouTube, you start researching or searching on different study methods that you can use, or the best study methods that you can use for maths, the best study methods for your theoretical subjects, your life sciences, your geography, your business. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and like I said, I have a lot to say, but that's essentially it. That's the the summary of it, Chloe. There is no pressure. The coping with pressure is only there when the pressure has arrived. But what you should make sure is that you should prevent the pressure from even occurring, right? So yeah, that was too much English. How many questions are here? Let me see. I think T. Okay, T was, yeah. Colors do work more, especially in trig and Euclidean. Yeah, colors. These are just some study tips that people need to know, right? And experiment with. Becoming me, becoming you. Who are you becoming? Why are you becoming you if you're already you? Kadlala, how did you deal with pressure from your competitors? Okay, now this is this one I can answer, right? This one I can answer, but me answering it, it's not from a competitor's point of view, right? I am gonna answer it. Let me breathe, because it's an actual thing. It's not like saying how do you deal with metric pressure. You can deal with pressure such that it doesn't even occur, right? But this is something real. Let me drink water. I'm gonna answer you when I becoming big bigs. Bona becoming. Who is among becoming or me? Me. But if I say me, yeah, it's gonna be me. But yeah, who becomings. Bona, how do you deal with your competitors? It's I found a lot of joy, because in remember when with your competitors, it's nice when you are winning, right? It's nice when you are in front. That's when you're like, I'm dealing with you guys. I don't even have to. It's nice when when you have the upper hand. But now when they are actually putting pressure on you and you're the one who's losing, then it becomes a problem, right? That's the only time it becomes a problem. When you are winning, you don't think about how the other person is feeling. I'll share. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten a 90. I should have let them such things, right? But this one is an actual thing. But how I look at it is that it's I know when I say it now, it's gonna seem basic, right? But I'm gonna try and expand more on it. Man, it's there's a lot of motivation that comes with it, right? And obviously, I'm not saying if you get a 60 and they get a 90, and it's someone you usually higher than in class, you're gonna be motivated. You're not, right? You're gonna be devastated, especially if it's at a point whereby sometimes you win, sometimes they win. If it's like this, it's actual competition, then it's gonna be a problem. But yo, yo, I don't even know how to put it, right? Like, I want to say, focus so much on knowing yourself. I love that your name is Becoming Me. Focus so much on knowing yourself that you don't have to think about that person, man. Focus so much on building yourself. Focus so much on becoming you that you won't get time to think about. You see, the reason you overthink the whole competitors thing is because those moments happen whereby they score more than you, or they are a bit above you. But the moment you actually take the decision to start saying, right now, I'm gonna start journaling. That's number one. The pressure that person is making me feel, I'm gonna write it in here. I'm gonna write it in here. I'm gonna write exactly how I am feeling about the fact that this competition is getting higher marks than me, right? And how exactly am I gonna get higher marks the next time, right? So with me specifically, the reason I said use it as motivation is because I was too focused. From the moment I realized that this person is head on with me, right? This term I'm number one, next term they're number one. It's like this. The moment you realize something like this, it's you actually going to yourself now, and you're like, you have someone on your level, right? And these are things that you write down. It's not something that you say, right? You write them down, and it's like, this is someone I want to be like, but then at the same time I want to, even what you call this thing, what's this word, precede, no, like I want to pass them, right? I can't find high level English, but this is someone I want to get above, but then it's not gonna happen if you're busy comparing the two of you, because now this is the point whereby they are actually grinding and you are thinking about how this person is catching up on me, they're becoming better than me. It's a whole thing, right? But the moment you actually take the step to not look at that person as competition, man, like, it should get to a point whereby you're like, I wanna be like this person, right? Or I wanna be more than this person, right? And when you are deep into the knowing more about yourself, you don't have time to do that, because remember, competition is competition for a reason. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But now when you are trying to overcome the whole thing of focusing on competition, it's just gonna be detrimental to you. My advice is that to beat them, please teach what you already know in order to retain that information. Okay, so this is a very good study technique, right? Or study method. But now when you're telling this person, you're promoting a fight, or you're promoting a fight, because now what happens when they do this and then it doesn't work, and then now the competition is even higher, right? So you are promoting the whole thing of saying, this is competition, it must be competition. It's not competition, man. You just have someone who's on the same level of intellectual capacity as you, and that's a normal thing. It's an interesting thing, right? And when you look at that person, it shouldn't even be a thing, Yahora, I want to beat you. Yes, of course, we are human, you're always gonna have that, but I'm just saying, don't focus on that, because the more you think about it, the more they are grinding, and you are thinking about how at the end of the year I'm gonna be at the top, this one is gonna be at the bottom. They are studying during that time. So I can't say avoid it, because you can't avoid it. It's a thought. But the time that you spend thinking about that thing, use that time to either build yourself, or if you have motivation to study even more, right? You should have a routine such that you don't even have time to think about such things. And even when you get your marks back and that person got higher than you, it's W motivation, because I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm becoming me. Because right now I am someone, but I'm not sure if I am fully me. So because I am growing, that's why I like that your name is Becoming Me, because you are still becoming. We are all still becoming, and we are growing every single day. There are some people here who have not been journaling, right? They were not writing down their thoughts, because I said start writing down your thoughts. You write down your thoughts, you're gonna learn a lot of things from that. You're gonna learn more about yourself. You start becoming you even more, right? So yeah, man, there isn't much to say about it, but in simple terms, focus on yourself. As much as it is difficult, but be so busy that you don't have time to think about such things, right? When you are actually busy and you are working, you won't have time to think about competition. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I don't know if you guys have any more questions. I think I've covered the things I wanted to say, yeah, a few minutes ago, right? I was mainly just trying to touch on the whole motivation thing, and the power of journaling, right? So you guys can ask your questions, and then if not, I'm just gonna reflect on the things I said. And then right, so like um 22 24. What's 22 24? 20 past 10. Oh, okay. Okay, it's still early, but yeah, I would have loved to get more feelings or thoughts from you guys, and then yeah, from that I can reflect on everything I've said. And then tomorrow, oh, I know tomorrow I'm recording the video, and then I don't know when I'm gonna post it, because it's easier to go live. It's easier to go live than to actually record a video and edit and write a script. And there's a lot that goes into doing an actual video, but this is easier because I get to say whatever is on my mind, even if it's wrong, guys. I'm a person, or if my English slips. But now, if this was an actual video and I say some bad English, I would have to cut it and then pause and then try again. So, yeah, it's a bit of a long process. So, I just prefer doing this because it's more interactive and you guys get to ask your questions. But yeah, but if there's not any more questions, if there's no more, if there's not if there's no more questions, right? So I'm just gonna reflect on the things that I've said. I think one of the most important things that I started by talking. You see, now that the life is ending, my English is going away. The things one of one of the things I started by talking about, that's right, ne? One of the things I started by talking about was on um how you I'm trying, right, with this video. I'm trying to get you at a point whereby you don't need to get to the part whereby you feel like you don't feel like studying, right? I don't know, that was very bad English, but I'm saying you only feel like not studying in the moment, right? So essentially what I was trying to bring with this video, which I'm gonna talk about now in a second, what I was essentially trying to bring is helping you get to a point whereby you don't reach the part whereby you don't have motivation to study, right? It's similar to what I said about coping, right? You know, when you're coping with something, it's something you've already experienced, right? When you're coping with pressure, you're already experiencing pressure. But I am here to essentially help you not get to that point of actually getting the pressure, you know. So yeah, that was essentially the main aim, and it's me saying that there is no such thing as overcoming motivation. Yes, you have those micro motivation, I call them micro motivational aspects of your life, you know, like, hey, I want to buy my mama a house. That's why I'm studying. those things will only work for 2 days. After 2 days, yo, my mama a house is not gonna work, right? It's 2 seconds motivation. It's just something that is in the moment. So your micro motivation, they also help, right? I wanna buy my mama a house. I wanna get to university. I wanna, all these goals, all these aspirations, right? These are things tse leng hore when you're not feeling like studying, you can, maybe they're on your wall, right? Maybe they're on your wall. You can look at those things and you're like, let me log in. Or for some people it works. For me it doesn't. I've tried it. That's why my wall is empty, right? It doesn't work, right? So that was me essentially diving into my next point, into saying, how did you get to the point whereby you don't feel like studying, right? Why are you not feeling like studying? Instead of, how do you overcome the feeling of not feeling like studying? You get what I'm saying? So there's two different parts here. There is me asking you, how did you get to that point? And then there's you asking yourself, how do I overcome this thing when I'm already in it? Right? So essentially my point is on, you can prevent it from happening before it happens, right? It's like sickness, guys. You get the vaccine, you don't get sick. It's in hurry, you get sick and then now you want the vaccine. You already got sick, the vaccine is not gonna work, right? So when I started this video, I was like, the things that you do when you study, the things that you do before you study, the things that you do after studying, the things that you do throughout the day, they impact your studying process as way more than you think they do, right? If you were on TikTok for 3 hours, your mind is stuck to that TikTok. It's in a relaxed state, right? It's just focused on entertainment, right? The dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. I'm there 3 hours. Obokatse, sharp. And then I put my phone away. I'm like, okay, now I need to be serious. I need to study. I put it away. I get to studying. I try to study. My mind is just, it's just fogged. I can't study, I can't do anything, right? And that is mainly because you were on something that was stimulating your brain in a different way. Before, you can't be on TikTok for 3 hours and then after that you want to log in. Maybe it might work 2 days, but it's not something that is feasible, right? And even in the moment, if it does work, it's not gonna work for more than 2 hours. You can study for 2 hours, but that's it, right? There's nothing more than that, right? So it was essentially me saying that, answer these questions yourself. You know yourself. I'm not gonna give you any tips. I'm gonna ask you questions. You go back, get a journal, get a book. Even if it's not a journal, take a page out of your maths book, take a piece of paper, ask yourself these questions, right? Why do I procrastinate? What was the reason that day when I was supposed to study at 4 p.m., but I only started studying at 9 p.m.? What was the actual reason, right? So don't call yourself a procrastinator. Hey, I always procrastinate. You don't procrastinate. You have something that's distracting you, and you need to identify that thing and work towards not removing, but replacing, right? Which brings me to my next point. Oh, my English is so good. Oh, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, that was smooth. Yeah, I have my moments sometimes whereby my English is flowy. Did you hear that? Go back 10 seconds ago and listen to that. Yo. But yeah, which brings me to my next point, which is on, I forgot. Which is on, I was talking about how I forgot. How am I? The English was so good, I forgot. Uh, um, give me a second. Don't leave. Give me a second. Okay, I was saying motivation to study. TikTok. You can. Okay, you can go into the study. Guys, I actually genuinely forgot where I was. Blah blah blah. which brings me to my next point, which is on, okay, I'm just gonna take it from here, right? You can't, you need to reevaluate your entire day. I'm so sorry, I forgot the point where I was. So I'm just gonna try and track back and go back and see where I can take it from here, because I genuinely forgot. Right. So I was basically saying you you need to just go over your entire day from the moment you wake up. What's the first thing that you do when you wake up? I've asked so many people, it's the phone, right? It's your phone. The moment I wake up, I check my phone, I check my WhatsApp if anyone has texted me. If there's no one, I go to TikTok. TikTok for 30 minutes. If it's boring, I go to Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels, okay, I'm tired now, I left enough, I'm going to WhatsApp. This is a typical Saturday or a Sunday for most people, right? And it's okay. Haona motho o judging. No one is gonna come to you and ask you what do you do the second you wake up. But it's me just trying to come to you and not saying stop what you're doing, but think about what you're doing, right? And you are automatically gonna reprimand yourself. It's a normal feeling whereby you get to automatically start thinking about your actions and how they are actually impacting you, right? So think about such moments. What do you do the moment you wake up? What is one thing that you spend most of your time doing during the day, throughout the day, especially on weekends, right? When you don't have school, even during the week when you have school, after school, what is one thing that you spend most of your time on outside of studying? So we're taking studying out of this thing, because remember, that's one thing we're struggling with, right? We're removing the studying. But if we were to say there was no school, that is what that one thing you are going to spend most of your time on. That's a question you should answer, right? And that's when I jumped into my next point, and that was on journaling. So right now I'm just reflecting. I'm not gonna read this thing again. You can go back to the video and read the part where I talked about what I wrote in here, right? That was when I got into the journaling, and I was like, this thing is something that is going to make you unlock. I hope that's a good word. Unlock your mind so much, right? Expand your horizons and make you think so much about yourself and learn so much about yourself, right? And this, I think I forgot to mention this. I forgot to mention this before you study, right? You know how I just said, hey, you spend 3 hours on TikTok, blah blah blah, right? As much as I'm not telling you what to do, what to replace study with, I'm just gonna give you one tip, right? This is the only tip I'm sharing in this entire video. Right before you study, right, to get motivation. Yes, it does. When I pull on, very very much. Just that when I'm gonna explain it after this, right? So one thing that you should no man, one point when you should apply it is right before you study, right? So if you know you're about to start studying in 30 minutes, write down how you're feeling, write down why you're studying, right? Not I want to buy my mama a house, right? Your actual feelings, right? Your thoughts, right? And the fact that you want to study but you just don't feel like it. And the more you write about this, the more your feelings will automatically start unpacking themselves. This might not happen on the first day, not on the second day, but as time goes on and you do this more regularly, and I, as someone who has been doing this as an on and off thing, right? I've had those moments where I was like, I what's one every day again. Again, my day was okay. And then what? Well, and then after 3 days, like well, and stuff like that. But if it becomes something where you embed into your, Nto ya rasa, man. If it becomes something that you embed into your entire daily routine, right? From the moment you wake up, obviously I'm not saying be a writing lunatic, right? But from the moment you wake up, you're just like, your thing is right by your bedside, and you just say, I'm feeling okay. That's one sentence, that's fine. The moment you start studying, you write how you're feeling, because remember, this lack of motivation is something that you feel only when you're about to start studying, right? So from that moment when you feel like you don't feel when you feel like you don't feel like studying, right? It changes a lot, right? It changes a lot, and that's why you should try it yourself as much as you have tried it. But obviously, like I said, I've had those moments where I've tried this thing, hell, after a few days. I've saw a lot of people YouTube, yeah, T. She has probably tried it out so many times. That's why does it really help? It doesn't help like you think it helps, right? It's gonna help when you least expect it, when you are it's gonna help with your thoughts, right? It's gonna help you expand your thoughts more than anything, right? It doesn't, I don't know, maybe you have different benefits in mind, but it helps you know more about yourself, right? The thing that you are struggling with, it helps you unpack it. It helps you find your solutions. And this is not people, right? This is not your chat GPT, right? This is you just praying, and then get your journal, write down your thoughts, and the answers just start flowing out, right? And there's a lot that I can unpack about it. I'm just gonna keep it brief. If I can't study, I use May, June past papers since they are hard, and this helps a lot. Yeah, you could say that, but May, June past papers are not that hard. Try your September papers. You're still playing. Go to your September papers, do 1 or 2 questions. Because remember, with September, it's 9 different papers every single year, right? So they accumulate, and there are so many. With your May, June exams, it's a national thing. It's the same as final. So just try your September papers more often when at tea. And yeah. Letabo Polwani, yes, journaling does help. Like, I know I already have past papers for tomorrow exams that I set for myself. Yeah, so you see what he is saying. It sounds like something basic, right? But this is something they thought about while journaling. Not you may have certain thoughts right now, right? About I want to buy my mama a house, I want a Lamborghini, I want a Porsche. But the moment you start writing those things down is the moment you realize is when you realize that yes, they are far-fetched, right? I'm still very far, but if I can do things like these, right? If I can implement these habits, if I can spend less time doing these, if I can replace this with that, then things are going to be so much better, right? And one thing with habits, it's always very, very difficult to start, right? With starting a new thing, like reading a book. Till this day, I read books in jail, like 2 pages and then I'm done. And there are people who are reading fanatics. They read their books and they read like fictional books, right? And it's like, yeah, I will never understand, but it's something that is embedded within them. Not that they enjoy it, but it becomes a habit, right? As much as you opening TikTok every single morning is a habit, with them opening a book every morning is a habit. You sabawelling dunked wings every day is a habit. With them, sabawelling a salad every morning is a habit, right? So not because they are better, not because there are all these ngwele, but it's a habit. Habits take time to build, habits take time to break. And yeah, there are so many phases that you experience when you're trying out a new thing. And I think one thing I wanted to say is that, especially when you're trying out a new habit, right? There's a certain point whereby you just leave that thing, right? And one thing I want you to understand is that particular point whereby you leave something new, let's say exercising, right? Let's say you want to start exercising. That particular point in time whereby you do your exercising for 3 days, you have to the motivation, yeah, summer body, summer body, summer body. After 3 days, or and then white hell. It's very, very important to understand that during that time, when you're when you're actually giving up on that thing, right? When you decide, "Or I'm not gonna do this habit anymore. It's too much. It's taking too much of my time," and then you automatically resort back to Instagram reels scrolling. That is a phase in habit building, a very very important phase in habit building, right? When you are building, I'm doing that thing I see on TVs, yeah, the heart. But yeah, it's a very very important phase in habit building, in such a way that when you're working on something, right, when it's particularly something that is benefiting you, that is going to benefit you, it's like this is motivation. You're going like this, very very soon. No, it doesn't even take that long. It goes like this, automatically it goes down, right? And when it goes down, this is when all those negative thoughts come in. The negative thoughts come in. Why am I doing this? What's wana? Wabo, what's wana? Let me just stop. Wabo. That's this. And then little do you know that after that it's gonna do this and then start becoming a more inclined slope, right? So that's how every single habit works. The giving up part is an important part of habit building, and that's where most people give up, right? That's how it is, right? So it's, if I can make a very easy example that people can understand, it's the same as understanding that one topic that you've been struggling with, right? So when you finally get to understand that one section in trigonometry, you've been failing it, right? You've been failing it. You were once at a point whereby you're like, I'm never gonna understand this thing, I've given up. But then jiggy jiggy, one day, someday, pakatlaka, you decide, wait again, let me actually just continue for 2 more days, and then somehow you finally understand that one topic. And it's it's something that I don't want to say most people don't realize, but it's like with your 1.1.1 yeah algebra, someone had to explain it to you, or you use the quadratic equation like this. Someone had to explain it to you. The formula, it says x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm just flexing. But it's something along where obviously when you're doing it, at some point you had to learn how to do that thing, and you didn't understand it at first, right? But then it going to a point whereby it just becomes embedded. It becomes embedded, and it's a normal part of your routine. But then you just have to understand that every single thing that you do, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. But yeah, there's a lot of patience that goes into it. But yeah, that's just me yapping a lot about self-development. What was the last point I touched on? I think there's one more point that I'm missing, and then yeah, that's gonna be me saying goodbye. The last thing I talked on was on how do you cope with pressure, right? So I'm gonna remove the word metric, because in every grade it gets to a point whereby there's a lot of pressure. And what I started by saying, I was just like, the pressure is usually at the beginning, when you're starting that thing, during exams, or like a few days before your exams. That's the pressure. And then also your final exams, right? So there's this fluctuation of pressure. At the beginning it's very very high, you don't know what to expect, you don't know how to go about it, and then it goes down, you're more calm. But then now, a few days after before your test is approaching, you realize that I actually don't understand these things. The pressure rises again, right? And then after you're done with that test, it goes down, right? And so on and so forth, right? With your test, it's the same thing, right? And my point on this was essentially saying, you need to capitalize as much as you can on those moments whereby you're not stressed. Use your this is so important actually. Use your happy days to destroy that happiness, and actually start working, and you will realize that the happiness is actually not gonna get destroyed. It's just an illusion that you have in your mind. Yahore, I'm so happy right now, I don't have any stress. If I start studying, I'm gonna be stressed again. What you're gonna realize is that when you're already in a happy state and you just go straight into the studying, you just stop chilling and you go straight into the studying, it becomes easier to look at the information from different perspectives. Remember, you have all this motivation, you have all this energy to just start working, right? And then now when you sit there with an action plan. I think, let me write that down. That's one more point I'm going to talk about before I end this live. Action plan before studying. So when you're working on something, right, and you are extremely happy, it's very important for you to capitalize on such moments where you don't have any pressure. You don't have, if you look at the next 2 weeks, you don't have any tests upcoming, right? Those are the moments whereby you should work on yourself so much that you actually feel the pressure of the exam, even though there's no exam upcoming, right? Because this is something when the exam is now approaching, things are now more even. You get what I'm saying? It's the whole concept of people saying, I work well under pressure. I study best 2 days before the exam or 1 day before the exam. That's an illusion, right? It's an illusion because you tell yourself, what, hey, if I start 2 weeks before, I'm gonna forget. Not if you repeat, you're not. If you actually work on that thing consistently and you actually, consistently try and work on yourself every single day. Let's say you do a question of that topic every single day, there's no way you're forgetting, right? So the illusion is it's not even thinking about that side of things. Or matter, if I do this every day, there's no way I'm gonna forget them when the exam comes, right? So in simple terms, it's me saying that for you to not have that much stress when the exam comes. Right now, I don't have any upcoming tests. Term 2 is about to start, right? Monday is about to start, right? And I was actually doing this last week, right? So this entire week we were on a break, right? So on Thursday, right, I visualized that day as my test day for computer science, right? So since Monday, I've been studying computer science so hard. I was like, I'm writing on Thursday. Obviously, it sounds like you're crazy, right? Because now you are imagining dates that are not even there. But I was like, I'm writing on Thursday. If I was writing on Thursday, how much was I gonna get? So then I started grinding. You see, I was happy. I was at peace. I destroyed that peace. I was like, Thursday I'm writing, let me stress myself out. And then I just started grinding. Thursday was yesterday. It's still the holidays. I don't have anything, right? And this was not just to stress myself unnecessarily, but it's also another factor, one of the reasons for this video, right? The whole motivation thing. You're gonna have to fake a lot if you actually want to overcome that entire thing of not having motivation to study at a particular time. You're gonna have to have those past papers and actually visualize that past paper as your actual exam, right? Completing an entire past paper, marking it, every single question. Your question, okay, Ofentse, marking every single question, and then putting a mark up there, right? Whether it's a 60 mang, it's a 70 mang, 32%, you put it up there. And in your mind, you just tell yourself, you're like, this is the mark I'm going to get in the exam. Now what's going to happen? Your mind gets stimulated, it rises. It's like, I have to focus on these points that I got wrong, because if I get them wrong again in the exam, it's a problem. It's a problem, right? Because one of the things I always say to people who ask me a lot about past papers and like how do you reflect on a paper that you wrote, right? So if you already wrote a paper, you got a 32%. And my question is, you wrote the paper, you got a 32%, you got the memo, right? You saw the right answers. If right now I was to say to you, tomorrow, right? I don't even tell you, I'm like right now on the spot. This is a paper that you wrote, you saw the memo, right? if you were to write it again right now, would you get 100%? And that's the most common question I ask, and people are like, no. Oh, and I'm like, why are you not getting 100%? Because you got the answer. I mean, you got your question paper, you saw your mistakes, you saw how to write the right answer. Why are you not getting 100%? And they're like, because I don't understand the memo. Wabon. So now that brings me the question, Yahori. So you know what you're struggling with, right? This is you me saying you know what to focus on, right? So those questions that you know, Hori, are going to kick you regardless of when they come, right? Those are what you should be focusing on. And it's very, very simple. Now you know what to pinpoint with every single past paper that you do that question, you do that question. I did this very much for that question, yeah. For what values of x is f of x greater than what? I was actually talking to someone the other day about it, or who's in grade 12, and I'm like, can you do this question? I don't know. Kar, why? And then they're like, I've been getting it wrong since grade 10. And now you've been getting a question here 1 mark wrong since grade 10. I go judge, but then it's me asking you, Hore, what actionable steps have you taken towards getting this answer correct? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, work so much on your mistakes, work so much on your weak points, those gaps, those information gaps. Should be things that which you should build so much on that you even forget that this is something I used to struggle with. Two more questions and then I move to this point. So how do I move from one subject to another? Because when you have started to study a specific subject, you get attached. You get attached to the subject and you just can't stop studying. Aibo, okay, summer well, you can't stop studying. Hey man, Homana the most hey, that's a nice okay, I get your question. But now when you said you just can't stop studying, um this just comes in your planning when I becoming, right? So it's actually the next point I was about to talk about. Very, very important. I love this. I was about to talk about the planning, right? So before you study, right? Before you study, you should know what you want to achieve in that particular study session. There's no such thing as you just can't stop studying. If you have a plan of action in motion, if you have a line of march, once I'm done with this, I move to this. Once I fully understand this, I do 5 past papers of it, and then I'm done with it. That's a plan, right? But then now when you say to yourself, ish, I think this thing is gonna shut down in 5 minutes. But now when you say to yourself, Ori, Kunji, what was your question? How I can't stop studying? Is because you don't have a plan in place, right? You don't have a plan in place to fix that particular thing, right? So every single session that you have, ish, let me try and fix this thing. Cause Kunji, how do you turn off downtime? Because my YouTube closes at 11 p.m. But I think I'll be done, man. It's 5 minutes. Yeah, so we can end this live at 11. So what I did is that every single day at 11 p.m., my apps automatically close, right? So yeah, I was trying to turn that off, but it's a long process. But yeah, just a quick short answer when I be coming. Every single session that you have, you should plan it thoroughly. Thoroughly, I mean, don't just say I'm sitting down to study maths. I mean, sit down, I'm gonna do Euclidean geometry until I understand it. I'm gonna do 5 questions at least. That's a plan. And then you're done. Once you're done with that, then you can decide whether I want to continue or I want to move on to something else once you've completed this plan, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Hey, Lozi, my guy, computer science is that. This guy, every time he's here complaining about comp-sci, is that one degree that needs you to think you're gonna write soon, even if you're writing in a month's time. Yeah. So yeah, with such, it's just practice, right? So yeah, with such things, when with comp-sci, I don't know if you were here 5 minutes ago when I was talking about that. I was like, I thought about the fact that I'm writing it, So, yeah, you're very, very much right. It needs a lot of practice, that thing. Otherwise, it's not gonna work out, right? So, okay, yeah, I have 3 minutes. So I'm gonna end the live in 3 minutes, or it's gonna end itself in 3 minutes. If you have any more questions, you can shoot them. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much about it. I think the information that I wanted to share, I've covered it for the most part. You can just rewind back to my summary of the main points I talked about. I think that was pretty much about it. And yeah, man. Oh, final words. Final words. This, right? I know I've been preaching it throughout, but please, as soon as this live video ends, write down how you're feeling, write down what you got from this live, write down, now I sound like I'm preaching, write down what you're going to implement into your life, right? It's a simple thing, man. I'm not saying go and study. Just take a pen and start writing. You can write in Chiven, that doesn't matter. Just write something down, like just write your feelings down. And this is, you're gonna do the same thing in the morning. In the morning, when you do it again, reflect on this again, right? So reflect on how you're feeling now about the things that I said yesterday, because it brings me back to that whole thing I was saying about habits. Habits fluctuate, right? So the motivation that you're feeling right now is going to be gone tomorrow. So write down your feelings, write down your thoughts, write down what you got from this video. Don't tell me, write your answers down. And then as time goes on, keep on writing down how you're feeling before every single study session that you have. um Before every single study session that you have, write down how you're feeling about the fact that you're about to study. Ooh, I said that so perfectly. Before every single study session you have, whether you're practicing maths, comp sci, physics, life sciences, before every session, write down how you're feeling about it. And yeah, once you write one sentence, everything is just gonna flow. Trust me. Okay, don't trust me, but I hope it happens, right? I hope it happens because I've seen it happen with me, someone who was once at a perspective, yeah, or this thing doesn't work, but the more you do it, the more you realize, or it's just, it's something that's going to help you. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. I think I'm just going to let the live end itself now in 1 minute, but thank you so much for tuning in. I don't usually say bye in my lives. I just end them, right? But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you take this moment to go straight into journaling and you work on yourself and become a better person. And yeah, all the best. I'm just gonna end it. Goodbye.